Hi, my name is Melissa Hagg, and I am a pianist, and I've been trained in the Western traditional classical tradition of music. And I am here today with Ayush Ghosh in the Sarb Akal studio in Calgary, Canada. Um, I have the honor of meeting with the youngest well-known sitar player in the world, and it's an honor for me to be here, and he has agreed to answer some of my questions. So thank you, Ayush.
Thank you.
And I'd like to know, when did you start playing sitar?
I started playing sitar when I was 5 years old.
5 years old. And so I've been trained in the Western style of classical music. You've been trained in the Indian style. And what would you say is the difference between the two?
Well, there are two major differences. And the first difference is that Indian classical music follows the oral tradition. And that's when the gurus pass on their knowledge to their disciples orally, while Western musicians follow the written music. And the second difference is that Indian artists constantly improvise on stage, while Western artists try to present the written music with perfection.
And I've heard the word of Gharana in Indian classical music. Can you help me understand what that means?
As I said before, Indian classical music follows the oral tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's when the gurus pass on their music to their disciples orally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so after the few generations of the same lineage, a unique style is created. And this style is referred to as a Gharana. And usually a Gharana's name comes from the guru or the place that originated from. And interestingly, it's the reason why the same raga performed by different artists from different Gharanas will always have different flavors.
That's interesting. So you're talking about this improvising. How do you improvise when you're playing? I think you'd need to practice, but how do you improvise?
So let me give you an example.
Okay.
When a house is built, there's a foundation. And similarly in a raga, there are foundational notes. These are the descending notes as well as the ascending notes. For the house, the color, the design, the interior all depend on the taste of the person who's currently living inside, right? And it depends from person to person. And so the presentation of a raga differs due to the difference in imagination and feeling of the artist who's presenting it. And so it's this imagination and feeling that leads to the improvisation. And improvisation is the reason why the same raga performed by the same artist at a different time will sound different, because of the season of when they're playing and the time and the mood and the feelings and the environment of the artist.
So you'll never know what you get, really. That's
Yes.
that's interesting. So who inspires you as a musician?
Well, my parents introduced me to Indian classical music, and since my early childhood, I have been exposed to it. And so, when you visit our house, there's always like a classical music CD playing. And so this sort of environment has inspired me a lot. And there's also several music greats who have inspired me, and they're musicians like Ustad Vilayat Khan, Pandit Ravi Shankar, Ustad Ali Akbar Khan, Ustad Amir Khan, Pandit Bhimshen Joshi, Pandit Mallikarjun Mansoor, Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, and Ustad Rashid Khan, Ustad Shahid Parvez Khan, and Pandit Samar Saha, and many others. And my gurus have taught me that when learned sincerely, classical music has the power to unite people and spread peace and happiness. And my instrument constantly reminds me that every movement of our life has music.
That is quite beautiful. I like that. So to get to be a well known sitar player, you must have practiced for a lot of time.
Yes.
And perhaps many hours in a day you practice, maybe?
Right.
And well, how do you find time to do that when life is so busy?
Well, I believe that when one is passionate about something, they'll always find time. And, for me, it's not just about practicing with my sitar all the time. It's also about working the music in my mind. And so when I'm, going to school, on the bus, or when we're driving, or when I'm taking a shower, or even when I'm eating. All of this contributes to the time I spend with music.
Wow, so it's,
And I
sorry.
believe that it is possible to do with school activities and homework. Definitely, yeah.
That's very interesting. So you don't actually have to be with your instrument to be practicing. You can fit it
Right.
in with other things that you're doing.
Well, you definitely need to practice,
Well,
and
yes.
that is a must. But
Yeah.
also, I believe that being immersed into the music is key.
Right. It's always with you wherever you
Right.
go. That's very cool. So when you are practicing your sitar, what should you do while you practice, while you're sitting with your instrument?
The first thing that's very important to me is that we have to have good posture, right? And we have to be able to hold our sitar in such a way that it's as if part of your body. There also sitar, we use two hands, and so that's why we need to practice our left hand and our right hand for our finger movement. We need to get some speed, so we need to practice for that. Also, we need to practice how bold your strokes are,
Okay.
as well as how soft your strokes are, and so that creates some modulation. And one thing that's unique to Indian classical music that we need to practice is mir, and that's just completely unique to Indian classical music. And so those are some of the technical things. One thing that's extremely important to me is the creative aspect. And so, because just copying somebody and presenting it in front of an audience does not make one an artist, right? You have to be able to apply and express your imagination and your feelings into your music.
So Ayush, tell me, what do you do to play so well?
Well, thank you so much for those kind words. But not only do I practice every day, I try to create for a better expression. And through my discussions with my guru, Pandit Sanjay Bandopadhyay, and my school music teacher, Miss Wishloff, I've been able to learn that there's music in silence, and I recognize that. And also, I gather a lot of inspiration from nature, and I feel that there's abundant music found in nature. Also, the thing that I'd like to do is I try to listen to a lot of good music, like Indian classical, Western classical, blues, jazz. I also listen to my own music after I perform so that I know what I could do better next time. And now with technology, and we're so fortunate to have technology, and so now with that technology, we're able to listen to a lot of old recordings that we would have never been able to gain access to, and lots of other types of music we can listen to.
There is a lot of music out
Yeah.
there, yes. So you're talking about your teacher at school. So many people say that youth these days are distracted. I'm wondering how you think you can help young people focus, or if you have any, problems that you can solve with music.
Well, a lot of time is being spent on video games, texting, and cell phones, and I just think we could use that technology for music. And so maybe my suggestion would be to just maybe listen to classical music, even if it is for a couple of minutes, and then and then maybe try to get an instrument or vocal music, or try it vocally, and spend some time with it, and then maybe once you like it, you could find a guru who would teach you, and then after all of that, you can make it a part of your life.
Just taking that first step and trying it out.
Yes.
That's good. So I understand that you introduced the sitar into your jazz band at school, and also that you play the trumpet in your jazz band, your band and at school. So is what you're wearing now what you would typically wear for playing the sitar?
Right. This is like a Indian attire I would wear for that. Yeah.
But isn't there a school band uniform that you also have to wear when you're playing in your school band?
Right.
So how did you decide what uniform you would wear when you were playing with your jazz band?
First of all, I just wanted to thank Miss Wishloff for giving me the opportunity to present and try to combine sitar and jazz together, and I believe the audience liked it. And but yeah, according to your question, I wore my Indian attire when I played the sitar,
Mm-hmm.
and the next piece after that, I had to jump up quickly and get to my trumpet for that next piece. And so I just wore my Indian attire for that piece and the ones after. And so when we had a break, I changed into my uniform and came back for the final part of the performance.
That's interesting. So it's very important that you wear a traditional
Right.
costume, and I don't want to say a costume, but attire when you're playing the sitar.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ayush, what would you say about the Sarb Akal Music Society and the Academy of Indian Classical Music?
Well, I believe that classical music and its deeply rooted culture should be preserved, and it should be a part of the mandatory curriculum at school, so that all of us in the community can enjoy this rich tradition. Sarb Akal Music Society and the Academy of Indian Classical Music are playing a crucial role in preserving this art form and its culture. And here the students learn Indian instrumental music, as well as vocal. And the magic of the music is demonstrated through the music festivals that are organized. And the artists that are invited to these festivals are either well-known or young and talented. And so I'm proud to be a part of this organization, and I'm sure the students are inspired, and I want to thank the parents who bring their children here and introduce them to this music. And I would especially like to thank Harjeet Uncle-ji for leading this movement.
Well, I think you have inspired some people today if they've been watching. And thanks again for meeting with me. And
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in.